Welcome to YourBostonSports.com. I'm Rob Goodwin along with my co-host Randy Flanagan, who hasn't been in the studio in a while.
This looks great.
Great to have you here.
Good to come back.
Yeah, now you have a chance to critique what Corn and I said about 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. We have a new property, as we mentioned last time. YourBostonSports.com is our new property.
Yeah, and actually, the site looks great. I spent a few minutes on there. Would welcome anybody to spend a few minutes on there and give us some feedback, but I think you did a great job there.
Thank you. And we hope to expand the coverage, obviously, with the new name to Celtics, Bruins, and Patriots. So that's kind of the plan.
Note to self, watch more hockey. Sorry.
Yeah, and watch more basketball once the Celtics get that number 6 pick.
And the 17.
And the 17. That's right.
I'm excited.
And of course, we watch the Patriots. Well, I watch the Patriots. You watch the Patriots too, right? So I think we're pretty well covered there. Yep. But we hope to have some great guests on that are kind of specialists, for those teams. We know quite a few of them that do a great job out there. So Corn and I got together 2 weeks ago. We did a show, and we were optimistic. I mean, the Red Sox had won, I think, 6 of 7 or whatever. Right. And while Jackie Bradley Jr. is not hitting well, Bogarts wasn't hitting well with men in scoring position, and Middlebrooks was questionable. It seemingly has all fallen apart since then, and we said stay the course, go with the young kids, and I want you to tell me honestly, were we wrong at that point?
I mean, looking back on it 2 weeks ago and now having the luxury of the last 2 weeks, I think you guys are wrong to begin with. I think you're even more wrong.
So if you were here 2 weeks ago, you would have said that your patience was running out with the three of them?
Well, I think with there's some struggles with Middlebrooks too. I don't know if it's all injuries. He definitely adds some pop to the lineup. But I think we're at a point, I believe, that the current team is not gifted enough offensively. There's not enough, especially in the 5 through 9 spots, totally different from last year. So I think we need to do something. It might cost us a young guy.
So you would have said the Red Sox have to do something now 2 weeks ago. You would have said they have to make some type of move. You don't like the way things are going.
Well, I think 2 weeks ago you thought
they were winning.
The corner.
They had won, 6 out of 7 and 6 out of 8 at that point.
But weren't those games always iffy?
They were iffy. That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And I guess you can win iffy and still win a lot of games.
Well, you can win iffy to get you to the point where you win, scoring more runs, getting more timely hits. You can win iffy to get by. And I think that's probably what they were doing.
By the way, I'm not necessarily saying trade any of the guys that are playing today. I mean, you might have somebody that one of your top prospects that you might be willing to trade that will bring in a big bat. I do believe it will come at a cost, and I think they probably have to move one of the guys today. So I don't know which one.
Yeah, I mean, they may have overestimated Jackie Bradley Jr. and Grady Sizemore in center field. I think that's one thing the one thing they probably did, and we probably all did it. We were all so happy that Sizemore was, playing like the veteran he always was in spring training, and then of course the season's completely different.
I think the problem is offensively too. So I mean, you've seen both of them make pretty good plays in center field. So I don't think defensively they have been too bad, unless I'm missing something here.
Well, I think Jackie Bradley Jr. won that job defensively over Sizemore. I think Sizemore was kind of questionable. It's kind of, we said before, we saw him have some trouble judging fly balls, and I think Jackie Bradley Jr. with his arm and his speed in the outfield, that's why he's in there.
Right.
But I think they expected one of the two to really step up in a solid way, and unfortunately, offensively, that hasn't happened.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that's going to lead to movement. I don't think you can. Usually, your outfielders have some pop in the bat, and we need to do something. I don't think there's enough there.
Now, was Daniel Nava that answer, you think?
Well, he's a pretty decent hitter, but I don't know if it was because of the injury, coming back from that, or just not the same. He's not looking the same. He hit over 300 last year. And he is right now 149.
But he's in AAA for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I heard that he's hitting better down there. So the question is, do you make a move and bring him up? He could play some center field. he could replace Sizemore in theory. So that's kind of the
why do you
question.
think he has a drop off like that?
I don't know.
Confidence?
Well, if you think about this, if they didn't have Grady Sizemore, then they probably would have just let him play through it. At least that's what I believe. But they had Grady Sizemore. They had Victorino coming back from his injury, and Nava was the logical choice to get sent down because he wasn't hitting.
Right.
But that said, I don't think he's done by any stretch. I hope this is not an indication of his career in general, in what direction it's going. He's only played one full season.
I just don't know if there's anybody out there that they could pick up in a trade or otherwise.
Well, the rumor is that the Marlins are interested in Middlebrooks, and they could, in theory, well, this is pie in the sky. The Red Sox would love to get Giancarlo Stanton,
right? Okay,
but I don't see a one-up trade.
You probably have to give two of the young guys. That you were saying,
yeah, exactly. But Nava's a tough one, and I think the whole outfield situation is a tough one. Gomes hasn't hit that well.
I don't think he's ever. I mean, he was like that last year, right? He just comes in and hits in the clutch when you need it.
Yeah, exactly.
When you least expect it.
Yeah, right, exactly. And of course, Stephen Drew came back.
Yeah. So when does he start playing? He can play right away, right?
Let's kind of back up a little bit. So $10 million contract. So essentially, I guess he got the same money prorated. Right. No, he can't play right away.
Oh, really?
There's kind of some complications, and I have to thank Sean McAdam for writing this on csnne.com. So the first step is that Drew takes his physical, passes his physical. And the Red Sox immediately have to put him on the 25-man roster.
Okay.
So that means they send down someone, most likely Brock Colton. I don't know if at this point it's been done already. So then he has to pass through what they call option waivers for 48 hours. So they got to put him on waivers in order to be able to send him down to Pawtucket and play some time down there. So that could leave the opportunity of some other team claiming Stephen Drew. Now, from what Sean McAdam wrote, as a courtesy, most teams in that situation do not claim someone, a major league player who's been signed after the season begins. Okay. So in theory, he passes through waivers. So then he's down to AAA. So Brock Holt's the odd man out now. Brock Holt cannot come back up to Boston for 10 days unless there's an injury.
I see.
So now Holt is down there, and they got to pick somebody up to come back and fill the 25th spot on the roster. Now the good news is that the 40-man roster is actually at 39, so they don't have to release anyone from the 40-man roster.
Okay.
So that kind of makes it a little bit complicated. And you won't see Brock Holt up for 10 days at that point.
What would happen if a team claimed Stephen Drew?
Well, if a team claimed him, the Red Sox could either let them have him, and I don't know what the price is as far as salary, but if they would probably pull him back. If they pull him back, then he's on the 25-man roster for the rest of the year.
I see. So he wouldn't get the time in Pawtucket.
Wouldn't get the time in Pawtucket. So if you figure he spends 2 weeks getting ready, that would be 2 weeks if they'll have a 24-man roster instead of 25.
Could somebody do that just to mess with us?
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt. You think about the Yankees, but I don't know if Brian Cashman would do something like that.
It's sort of like dirty pool, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the bottom line is that Scott Boras and Stephen Drew caused all these issues for the Red Sox now because they declined the $14.1 million in the off season. That's the bottom line. He's getting the same money, just for less. He's getting the same money during the time he's signed for.
Yeah, now he's behind the 8 ball too, so he's getting the same money, but we're not getting the same player until he warms up. Right,
and he was behind the 8 ball starting last year. If you remember, he had an injury and was on the disabled list to start the season as well. I think what they're hoping is that he'll help with their production against right-handed pitchers, which oddly enough they've been struggling. I mean, when have you ever seen a Red Sox team not hit right-handers well?
Well, they've been struggling everywhere, right? I mean, they're in the bottom 3 or 4 in the league. I think they're batting .245. They're in the bottom 3 or 4 for home runs. On-base percentage is still pretty high.
Probably because of Napoli.
Yeah, I mean, but they've got all these singles. They're hitting a lot of singles and stuff, but there's just not a lot of pop. They really need to do something.
Well, the other thing that occurred to me compared to last year is the one place they're missing pop from is shortstop.
Right.
Because when Stephen Drew started on the DL, you had Iglesias on fire hitting 350.
Right.
And yes, they were dinking, little dinky shots that fell in. At least a lot of them were. But you had a guy in 350 at shortstop position. I'm guessing that made a big difference in production.
Yeah, but looking back at that though, it still worked out. That trade still has worked out because he's been out. He's out, I think, for the year.
Yeah, most likely.
Again.
Yeah.
So it still worked out.
Oh, it worked out.
In our favor. But you're right. We're missing the pop in that spot at a lineup, and I think once you get past, Napoli in the lineup, you really aren't afraid of anybody down below.
And Napoli's cooled off as well.
Right.
Yeah. So look at the pitching. I don't know if this is good news, but Felix DeBront's on the DL as of last night. I would hope Workman comes up. He looked at that as a positive, potentially.
Well, DeBront's an enigma, right? Yeah. When's he going to turn the corner to become that number 3 or 4 that you can legitimately count on?
I keep hearing, that he's still trying to figure out the season. I was like, at this point in time, after a full spring training, we're into May.
Yeah, his ERA is over 5 on a team that really isn't scoring a lot of runs, and the rest of your pitching staff is 385 or something.
Right. I mean, as I pointed out 2 weeks ago with Korn, and Korn, obviously agreed. Starting rotation, the first 3, not bad. I mean, the ERA is all under 4. I mean, Peavy, two outings in a row have been subpar. But you look at Lester's
he's
ERA.
down to 4.33. Lackey's right at 4. Lester's 2.67.
And Buckholt's still struggling at 6.17.
Yeah,
he's had some flashes, right?
A couple.
Yeah.
He's pitching tonight.
I watched him pitch on Marathon Day, and
you went to the game Marathon Day?
Yeah, he didn't look good.
No.
Second inning was about the only inning you could salvage from his outing.
Yep.
But he didn't look good. Yeah. I don't know if it's in his head or...
I think when he's good, it's in his head, and when he's not good, it's in his head. That's the problem. I think it's, he's never going to have a PV mentality, although he needs to have something like that.
Right.
Because, I think the guy has been consistent in the past based on raw talent and raw stuff, but baseball and pitching in general, and look, I'm not a pitcher, and I don't, I never played one on TV, but
I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
I did. But playing baseball and pitching especially, a lot of it's in your head, and what kind of attitude you're going to have, how tough are you, and that's the question.
Right.
Tough, and never mind injury-wise with him. That could be a whole different conversation. But how tough are you going to be when you're on the mound when you've got to get outs?
Right.
And I just don't know. I just think he needs more of that. And like I said, I'm no expert. You're no expert. But a casual observer, I think, would come to that conclusion.
Bullpen still looks pretty decent, right?
It does.
I mean, Koji is Koji. He's doing pretty well.
Yeah. Miller blew 2 out of 3 games, but that's going to happen.
Bedenhop has come in
doing pretty well.
Yeah. Well, he has kind of been a disappointment.
Yes.
Yeah, Badenhop, he had early struggles, but has done very, very well for the last, I think, probably 12 outings overall.
And of course, Carp came in for the take one for the team role in that blowout that they fell behind. They just never caught up, and his ERA is 9, so that's not too bad for a position player.
That's true. Yeah, 9. Yeah, I noticed that. So, and if you look at the American League East real quick, I mean, Baltimore in first place, and you think they're 10 games ahead, but they're a half game ahead.
Yeah.
3 games over 500. So, the Sox are 3.5 out. Not a lot of separation there. I don't know. The Yankees continue to stay in it.
Surprisingly, they're losing everybody.
They lost 3 starters. CC Sabathia apparently has some kind of degenerative knee issue. Which isn't surprising at age 34 when he's when he pitched, when he was 300 pounds for so long.
And that was that's 300 is kind of going easy on him.
Okay, 310. Okay, William Perry, the refrigerator.
There you go.
And then you look at the Central. I mean, Detroit is it. You got to admit that.
Yeah.
They are something.
They are a good team.
Yeah. I mean,
They're
you look
stacked.
You look at Cabrera, and you look at, so many other players. They have the pitching, Verlander and Scherzer and Sanchez.
I think
on and on.
this,
I don't know. This could be their year.
This could be, but then again, they thought it was their year last year, and look what happened to them.
Yeah.
They went run into the Sox in the playoffs, and
sorry.
Yeah. And then the West, everyone's rooting for Oakland, I think. Angels are 4 out. But that could change. I mean, Pujols seems to be coming around with the Angels.
Mm-hmm.
And the National League East. I mean, Washington, good team. I mean, the Mets are even only 5 games out.
I don't expect that to be for too long.
Probably not, but you never know. And then in the Central, you got Milwaukee is doing well. I mean, they're only 2.5 games up, but they've got 27 wins. Cubs, Theo, last place, 9.5 games. That's what surprises me. When you look at the Cubs are 9.5 out already. That's kind of scary.
Right.
And when you look at, even the Pirates, 8 games out with the year that they had.
Yeah, that's surprising because I thought they could have done, and they may still. I mean, they're 8 games under, right? Mm-hmm. But you start falling behind that far, and you're just digging yourself too deep.
Yeah.
Too many good teams there with St. Louis and Milwaukee, and frankly, Cincinnati is disappointing, but they're in front of you. That's tough.
It is. The Pirates, did so well last year. They made the playoffs for their long-suffering fans, winning record, and then now look at this, 8 games out.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then quickly, the National League West, the Giants are up on the Rockies by 2 games. Dodgers are 4 out with our friend Josh Beckett. Mm-hmm. And my favorite, my non-favorite manager, Don Mattingly.
He's out again, right?
He pitched. Yeah, he pitched last night. I think.
All right.
Yeah, he pitched last night.
Back.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well.
I would imagine it's San Fran and the Dodgers in that race there. I know Colorado's there. Mm-hmm. Colorado is always my dark horse to win 20 in a row to come back into it.
Yeah.
But I think it's San Fran and Dodgers.
Yep.
There.
So, any plans to go to any games coming up?
So I'm going one in late July.
Against,
White Sox. So I'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's at the marathon game. Hopefully another game or 2.
Yep. Yeah. I'll get a game early July against the White Sox. So that should be good. And like you, hopefully, one or 2 others later in the season, and then playoffs. We'll see.
Hopefully.
Struck gold last year with Game 6 of the ALCS. So
right.
That was great. That was exciting.
Yeah.
So you got to just try to hope you can score something. And I did it legitimately on the website.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for a while there, the Sox were giving up 4, 5, 6 runs before they were getting on the board. They seem to have gotten over that, but now just not getting over the hump.
Right. I mean, last night they were down. Well, they did get behind. They were behind last night.
Yeah.
And they were 7-4, clawing their ways back late in the game. But you just you said, you just don't get the feeling they're going to be. They can do that.
Where last year you felt like they could come back at any time, and I felt like that at the beginning of the season, like they could do that. I think we're not far off.
Right.
And
exactly.
And there's nobody's jumping off bridges here because, frankly, it's compressed. That's
right.
AL East is compressed, so we'll see what happens.
Compressed, and no one's very far behind at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. We welcome all of our viewers and listeners to participate on yourbostonsports.com. The Facebook page is still Red Sox Alley, as is the Twitter feed at Red Sox Alley, but we'll be coming out with a new Facebook page at some point soon, and probably new Twitter feed as well. But you can always reach us at Red Sox Alley at Comcast.net, on the Facebook page, on Twitter at Red Sox Alley. You can listen to us on Stitcher, on YouTube, and on our website. So we're pretty much, our content is on all of our platforms, and will continue to be out there as well.
Oh, so you didn't ask me about my shirt.
Oh yeah, so what's with the shirt?
There is a Boston tie to the shirt. So you're talking.
Jim Calhoun.
Well, that's one tie.
Yeah.
Shabazz Napier.
That's true.
Massachusetts guy.
He's not Boston. He's Roxbury.
Oh, okay. But he's a Massachusetts
yes,
guy,
he is.
right? Okay. Close enough to Boston.
Well, no. It is considered Boston, but when I don't know if you know
He wants
this.
to play for the Celtics.
Oh, I don't know about
They
that.
get the 17th pick.
Nah,
Come on.
Maybe. But what I was going to say is that he made it clear that when he was going to be introduced during the NCAA tournament, he said that he was from Roxbury, Massachusetts, because not from Boston, from Roxbury.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
good for him. I happen to think he's very special.
Yep.
I think he's a special individual and a special player.
I agree.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
And I'm not a UConn, and I don't normally say anything good about UConn. I'm not a UConn fan.
doesn't.
I
Yeah,
don't.
he's
But
not.
what I have to admit, Shabazz Napier is a real deal. Yeah, I like that. I like him a
Well, maybe
lot.
we'll see him a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
Well, thanks so much for joining me here in the Central Connecticut studios with the birds singing on a beautiful Wednesday
it's
night.
beautiful,
Great
yeah.
night. And hopefully the weather will continue, although I think we're going to get some rain over the next couple of days. Not that this is a weather report necessarily, but I'm just making small talk.
We can go above and beyond.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Call of Duty,
exactly.
right?
So this is our attempt to continue producing great content on a somewhat regular basis. What? Not regular?
Great.
Oh, great. Oh, okay. So we'll see if we can get together for in another couple of weeks. Maybe even the three of us.
That would be
That's
great,
a possibility, right?
The Three Musketeers back together again.
And we are working on another special guest. Corn's working on special guest. He knows who he is.
Awesome.
So thanks again for joining me tonight. Randy Flanagan. Have a good one.
Have a great one.